What's up, guys? It's Evian Watson, and today we're going to talk about tracking. So last week I made an Instagram post of me flying my FPV drone. I tracked the flight on top of my goggles. I got a lot of cool responses, so I asked if anybody would like to see me make a tutorial video, and I got about 35 responses, so I decided to make one. Today I'm going to show you how I created that post. The first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to be using Final Cut Pro for tracking. I know there's a bunch of different other programs out there. I know majority of the people use will be Final Cut, Premiere, and After Effects. I do a lot of my tracking in both programs. I use Premiere, After Effects, Final Cut for all my work because certain ones do certain things, but today we're doing it in Final Cut. One thing is that Final Cut does not have a native tracking app like After Effects or the Adobe platform. So I had to go to Pixel Film Studios. It's a really cool website where you can get a bunch of external plugins for Final Cut, like trackers, animated text. You could get the hand-drawn effect. There's a lot of cool things. You should check it out. Today we're going to be using the Final Cut Pro Tracker 2.2. So enough talking about that. Let's go ahead and dive in. So the way I start my process is the first thing I like to do is I like to find my music. I already went ahead and took care of that. I like to put a selection of a song before I start editing. It just makes the workflow a little bit easier. So after I find my music, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. So once I create this new project, I'm going to find the clips that I want to use. So I sat down in my living room and I refilmed this so that way I could show you guys a live example of how I did it. So I'm here in my living room, sitting down, about to take flight. So while I was sitting there recording myself, I decided to record my flight footage and track it on top of my goggles. You don't have to use the actual flight footage, but I use it because it just adds to the whole element of the clip and the story itself. So once I have my two clips, what I want to do is I want to try and mark up and match the flight so that way the drone and everything kind of looks like they're all connected in unison. So fast forward, I got that taken care of. So now that I have everything selected and layered, over here in the left hand side, there's a title section. It'll show Pixel Film Studios. You're going to grab Drop Zone and drag it on top of your timeline. From there, you're going to adjust the drop zone to the length of the clip because we already have it selected and spaced out and placed where we want it to be. And then once we have that all set, we're going to move the clip over to the side. For now, we don't need to touch that flight footage. We're just going to go ahead and place it over to the side for a second. We'll deal with that later. So once we have the drop zone selected, we're going to go ahead and select Track Editor. And there's this little square that you're able to move around and resize. And we're going to go ahead and place that on top of the goggles. Make sure that the track quality is at 100% because we want the tracking to look the best. And then we're going to go ahead and hit this arrow and start the tracking process. So it's a pretty easy process. It's very accurate. Once you hit that arrow, it's going to track all the frames. If there's an issue, it'll let you know. All you have to do is just readjust and start tracking again. So once the tracking's done, we go ahead and we export that data. So now that data lives inside that little drop zone. Now we're going to go over to our flight footage. So one thing that's very important for the drop zone is that it needs to read this thing called a compound clip. So we have to take our GoPro footage, select it, right click it, and turn it into a compound clip. So now that it's a compound clip, inside of our drop zone menu, we're going to go over to the right hand side, text option, and then you'll see down a little bit, it says select source clip. So that source clip is going to be the video that's going to be tracked on top of our object. Once you click select source clip, you'll notice that two windows pop up. There'll be a little red line. You just got to click on that red line at the very start of the clip. So now once it's there, you hit apply. Go ahead and play it. Make sure that it works. So it should be tracked. Just go ahead and play a little bit. So you notice how it's right over my face. There's a small amount of movement. It's really big. I want to scale it down a little bit and also want to adjust the axes that it's on. Okay, cool. Once you make all those adjustments, you fine tune it, you get it to the point and the position that you like, go ahead and export that clip. So this one's a little simple. There's a lot of other ways that you can track. You can track a lot of different things. As you saw in the sequence at the beginning of the video, you don't just have to track on FPV goggles, you can track on a number of items. So I went ahead and I repeated the process one more time. So once I do that second process, now I have 2 track clips. I'm going to go ahead and place it on my timeline, edit a little sequence together, and let's see how it looks. Before I go, I just wanted to say, I think tracking is a very powerful tool. It's used a lot in videos, but you can't use it enough. You know, there's always different ways of learning how to track, tracking different objects, and just being really creative with the tracking process. If this sparked your interest at all, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and drop a comment below, and maybe leave some future ideas that you'd like to see. Maybe if you'd like to see me make one using After Effects. I love making these. I love making content. It's a lot of fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching.